Do you want to learn how you can retire with investment income through real estate investing in under 7 years? Well, you're in luck. That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Hey guys, I'm Ariane, and if you don't know me, I retired at the age of 27 with passive income through real estate investing, and I made this channel so good people like you can learn how to do that as well. So today we have this sample 7-year plan to financial freedom. A lot of people ask me how they can retire just like I did when I was 27. And you don't have to be whatever age, you just have to follow a specific plan with specific steps. So I made this sample plan that's very similar to the path I took. You can actually watch my full story at the video up here. I'll link that in the description below as well. But anyway, I have this sample plan that you can follow as well, and you can tweak parts of the plan as you want that suits your lifestyle. So here it is, the sample 7-year plan to financial freedom. This plan will lead to you getting $7,600 a month in cash flow by the end of the 7 years, and that's about $91,200 a year in passive income. Do you want that? Well, listen to the entire video so you get all the tips and tricks to get there. So what do you need to do to get this $91K a year in passive income over 7 years? So the plan is to house hack a new primary home every year, buy a second home every other year, and buy a rental every 8 months. So again, this is a sample. Follow along with the example and tweak this as it fits your lifestyle and your investment goals. So house hack a new primary every year. What does house hacking mean? All house hacking means is making money on the house that you live in. So there are 5 different ways to house hack, and I'm going to cover them here. Sometimes people think that house hacking is buying a duplex, living in one side and renting out the other. That is one way to house hack, but there's actually other ways to house hack. So we're going to talk about that here. So number 1, you can buy a house, live in it for a year, move out and use it as a rental, which is the main way we're going to talk about house hacking in this plan. But number 2, you can also buy a house and rent out the rooms to roommates. So they pay for your living expenses and you can even make extra. You can also buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, live in one unit and rent out the other units, which is the typical way people think of house hacking. And then number 4, you can rent out other parts of your house. So for example, you can rent out the garage for storage. I actually rent out my garage to my business, so I can get extra passive income for that. And then you can also use a home equity line of credit to tap into some lazy equity in your home. So if you bought a home in the last few years and maybe you have a really good low interest rate on it, but then the property has appreciated by a significant amount, you can call a local loan officer and see what kind of options they have for a home equity line of credit for you. Usually the credit unions and local banks are good for this, so you could also ask your realtor and see if they know anyone who has a good program for a home equity line of credit. So anyway, those are the 5 ways to house hack. The main thing we're going to talk about is that first way, where this plan involves you buying a house, living in it for a year, and then moving out into a new primary residence and using that old primary residence as a rental. So you can buy a new primary home by using an owner-occupied low down payment loan. So as you can see on the screen, it can be a 0 to 3.5% down payment, which is amazing. So these are all the different types of loans. You can have a 0% down VA loan, a 0 to 5% down conventional loan, a 0 to 3.5% down FHA loan, and a USDA loan. Talk to your mortgage loan originator to figure out which of those programs can apply to you. But here's a sample property that someone buys with 3.5% down payment, a 300K house. And we're not going to go over all of the things on this graph. This is actually our free rental property calculator. You can get a free download of that same calculator that I use to analyze single family homes down in the description below. So check that link out. I also have a full video that just goes over how to use this calculator in depth. So check that out here and in the description below. So make sure you get a copy of this free rental calculator. But anyway, watch that video for a rundown on how to use this. But for right now, I'm just gonna show you kind of like the big picture, right? So this person buys this 300K house with 3.5% down payment. They live in it for a year, and then after a year, they move out into a new home. And then after they move out, they're still cash flowing $300 a month after they pay for all the expenses, including property management fees, maintenance, repairs, and vacancy, and their mortgage. So let's assume that someone does this option for 7 years, right? So they're going to buy 7 primary homes that turn into rentals in that 7 years. So you'll have 7 houses that each give you $300 a month in cash flow for just a 0 to 3.5% down payment. So those 7 houses will turn into $2,100 a month in cash flow. Now, the second potential thing you could do on top of the house hack method we talked about is buying a second home every other year. So you can do this with a second home loan. A lot of people don't know about this, but you can actually buy a second home with just 10% down payment. And you can have multiple second homes. That's why this plan involves you buying 3 over 7 years. You just have to live in the home for 14 days each year to use it as your second home. And then after the 14 days, you can rent it out on Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, a lot of the different short-term rental websites. And you can have multiples of these. You can have a beach home, a mountain home. So not only can you cash flow, but you can also have a free vacation at each of your beach house, your mountain house, and other homes each year, which is pretty amazing. So here's a sample second home. They buy a 300 grand second home in, let's say, Colorado as a beach home. Oh, Colorado as a mountain home. Whoops. They put 10% down, and then they net, after paying even the expensive property management fees of 20% a month, their net cash flow after paying all of those expenses and the mortgage payments is $500 a month in cash flow, which is amazing. Plus, they have a free 14-day vacation house each year. So if they do that every other year, so they buy 3 second homes for the next 7 years, they're going to get $1,500 a month from the 3 second homes, $2,100 a month from the 7 owner-occupied loans, and that total will be $3,600 a month in cash flow. So that's awesome. Even if you or this sample person just does these 2 things over the next 7 years, you will have $3,600 a month in cash flow. Like, that's amazing. What would that cover for you? Would it cover your housing expenses and maybe some of your necessities? Like, I know for me, that covers a lot of my necessities, which is amazing. Now, we can even add to this stack. Oh, not to mention, you also have 6 free vacation weeks at those different second homes. So now we're going to talk about adding to this stack, right? So if you want to even turbocharge this plan, you can add this step, which is buy a rental property every 8 months. So you can use this with the normal rental property loans. There are some other type of loans you can use, and we have a whole video about different types of loans up here, so check that out. It'll be in the description below as well. But so this is a sample of a rental property loan. And as you can see, this could potentially make you an extra $400 a month in cash flow per rental home you buy. So if you add this to the stack, and you buy 10 rentals over the next 7 years, that's just you buying a new one every 8 months. You're gonna have an extra $4,000 a month from those 10 rentals. You're gonna have another $1,500 a month from the 3 second homes, and you're gonna have $2,100 a month from the 7 properties you bought with your owner-occupied loans, and that totals $7,600 a month in cash flow. Plus, you have 6 free vacation spots in all of your second homes, and you have all the other benefits that we didn't talk about in this video, like your loan gets paid down, you have potential appreciation, you have tax benefits on top of the cash flow you have here. So let's recap. What are the things we need to get $7,600 a month in cash flow or $91,000 a year in passive income? So we just need to buy a new primary every year, buy a second home every other year, and buy a rental every 8 months. So when we lay it out like that, it sounds a lot simpler, right? It sounds a lot more achievable. Now, for some of you, you're like, that sounds like a lot. And look, if you're just learning about real estate, I completely get it. When I first started 7 years ago, I knew nothing about real estate. In fact, I just moved to the US. I knew nothing about the country and loans and credit and all that. So if you're a little overwhelmed right now, I understand. Everybody starts there. You're already watching this video, so you're getting there, right? You're already ahead of 99% of the people out there who aren't even spending the time to watch videos like this that teach you how you can get ahead and how you can have financial freedom. So you are already 10 steps further than the next person. So pat yourself on the back. We'll clap for you. But the first deal is usually the hardest. So understand that after you do that very first deal, everything is going to be a lot easier. So if this is overwhelming, just focus on that first deal. Just focus on buying that first primary home, or maybe focus on getting a line of credit on the primary home you have, or maybe focus on buying a new second home, right? Focus on one of the things we talked about. And trust me, once you do that first investment deal, it'll get a lot easier. The other thing I didn't mention yet is not only are you going to have $91,000 in passive income at the end of this plan, you'll also have $2 million worth of real estate or more, right? Like the value of the real estate you will own is going to be $2 million or more. Not to mention, you have another $500,000 in potential appreciation. So for some of you who are thinking, well, how am I going to get the extra money for those rental property loans? Because that's going to need 20% down. Well, you can keep getting those lines of credit that we talked about. So every time you buy a primary residence and the value of that property goes up, you can get a home equity line of credit and tap into some of that equity and then put it down on a rental property loan. And as this plan unfolds, it's going to be over 7 years. Some of your properties are going to have so much more value and appreciation. Now, we don't want to bank on that, right? That's icing on the cake. But in reality, in 7 years, there will likely be some appreciation on the properties you bought, and you can tap into that equity with those home equity lines of credit or potentially a cash out refinance, so you can get some of that equity. We call that lazy money. You can get some of that lazy money and deploy it into other income producing assets such as these rental properties we talked about. So you have appreciation, you also have the loan pay down and the tax benefits. I will leave you with this quote. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. 7 years ago, I knew nothing about real estate. And now I'm talking to you here, having retired with real estate passive income about 4 years ago when I was 27. And now I co-own over 2,400 multifamily rental units with partner investors. This is coming from someone who knew nothing about real estate 7 years ago. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and that notification bell so you're going to be the first one to know when I release my next video. And if this helped you, please share it with someone else. Maybe some of your friends and family would also love to know how they can retire with real estate passive income in 7 years. Share this video. I guarantee they are gonna love you for it because they probably don't know that this is possible either. Alright guys, I will see you at the next video. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.